Athens Control, this is Helios 522 at 34,000 feet. No response from cockpit, aircraft flying on autopilot. One individual spotted in cockpit, aircraft descending rapidly, maybe losing engines.
August 14th, 2005, Athens. A strange and terrifying guest looms in the sky, 10,000 meters above. A passenger plane flies silently while I wander aimlessly, disconnected from the world. Fear grips Athens as this plane has been unresponsive for hours. Is it a terrorist attack? The Greek Air Force scrambles fighter jets to investigate the eerie silence. As the jets approach, a chilling scene unfolds inside the plane. Lifeless passengers, no pilot in sight. Suddenly, a figure appears in the cockpit, searching frantically for something. Then, without warning, the plane tilts and begins its rapid descent towards the ground. After a few minutes, we reached Athens, but tragedy struck. 21 lives lost in a horrific accident. What really happened? Why was there movement inside the plane? The pilots and crew were silent, unresponsive to calls. What caused this disaster? This is the story of Helios Flight 52, the ghost plane. On August 14th, 2005, 115 passengers and 6 crew members boarded. Their destination was Prague, but they had to stop in Athens. The captain was experienced, with over 17,000 flying hours. In aviation, crew expertise is often highlighted during accidents. But this case was different. These pilots had flown together many times before. The first officer often shared his concerns about the captain's pressure and strictness with friends and family. The airline was aware of this issue. The first officer's training records revealed problems with checklist procedures, which would later prove crucial. The Boeing 737-300 took off smoothly from Larka Airport on a cool morning. But as they climbed above 10,000 feet, things changed. Contacting Nicosia Air Traffic Control, the captain requested to fly at 34,000 feet and received permission. But then, an unexpected alarm sounded in the cockpit. This alarm, usually heard on the ground before takeoff, puzzled both pilots. Why was it going off in the air? 90 seconds later, the captain of the airline contacted the operations center about a takeoff configuration warning. He mentioned that the ventilation cooling fan lights were off and asked where the circuit breakers were located. The engineer on the ground replied that those lights should be off anyway, and that the circuit breaker for the captain's seat is behind him. When the engineer asked the captain to verify the issue, the captain said it was not closed, leaving the engineer confused. Suddenly, the engineer remembered inspecting the plane's pressurization system before the flight. He asked the captain if the pressurization mode was on auto or manual, but the captain repeated his question about the circuit breakers instead. Meanwhile, oxygen masks fell down for passengers inside the plane. Shortly after, Helios ground operations lost connection with the aircraft. In no time, the plane reached 34,000 feet, and all attempts to communicate seemed futile. For the next 5 minutes, the controller tried to reach Flight 52, but silence echoed back. Then, another aircraft approached and relayed the message to contact Flight 52, but that too fell flat. Meanwhile, Flight 52 had crossed into Greek airspace without permission, continuing its flight plan. Nicosia's control tower received an emergency signal from Flight 52, but attempts to communicate went unanswered. Next, Athens ATC reached out, asking if there was any connection with Flight 52, but again, no response came. Now, 2 possibilities loomed. Either a radio issue on Flight 52, or worse, both pilots had been taken hostage. Considering the urgency, Athens Control ordered the plane to land, but Flight 52 showed no signs of compliance. In spite of multiple attempts to reach out, there was no response from Flight 52. Athens ATC had no choice but to contact the Greek Air Force. They were informed that Flight 52 had entered the airspace without permission. Messages went unanswered, prompting immediate action. 2 F-16 jets were dispatched to intercept the flight. By this time, Flight 52 was on autopilot, missing its descent point twice. It was flying at 34,000 feet, while Flight 737 was in a holding pattern over Athens airport. The holding pattern means circling above the airport, waiting for landing clearance. On the 6th round, the F-16s intercepted Flight 52 at 8:30 a.m. One pilot made a shocking observation. The captain's seat was vacant. Peering into the passenger cabin, everything seemed fine despite the eerie silence. There were passengers on board, and he sat absolutely motionless in his seat. Oxygen masks dropped down, a sign of impending danger. As the plane circled for the 10th time, an F-16 pilot noticed something strange. A man in a light blue shirt and black vest entered the cockpit, taking the captain's seat. He wore headphones, hands poised over the control panel as the pilots gestured to him. He responded with a slight wave, but it was unsettling. Moments later, the left engine sputtered and stopped, the plane veering sharply left. It tilted dangerously, descending rapidly towards the ground. Just before 9 a.m., the ship Majid turned, and the right engine failed too. In just 4 minutes, it crashed into the hills northwest of Athens. Investigators arrived, sifting through debris, questioning the engineer who had maintained the plane. The night before, he had conducted a pressurization leak test, but forgot to switch it back to auto. The plane ascended to 34,000 feet, and I felt the pressure drop. Suddenly, I realized the manual switch was in the wrong position. With the air thinning, I knew we were in trouble. Hypoxia sets in quickly, and the brain can only handle it for 10 minutes. Confusion creeps in, and thinking becomes a struggle. If we don't act fast, unconsciousness could follow. The pilots had their pre-flight checks but missed a crucial detail. Normally, that switch should have been on auto, but it wasn't. They had tools to identify the issue, but every opportunity was missed. As we climbed above 12,000 feet, the cabin altitude alarm blared. Instead of focusing on the pressurization, they shifted to warnings. In the chaos, the procedure for takeoff was mistakenly initiated. Meanwhile, oxygen masks deployed, but the crew was already fading. The captain and first officer lost consciousness, and soon after, so did everyone else. Now the question arises, who was there to answer the call 2 hours after he became unconscious? I arrived later and discovered through investigation that he was flight attendant Andreas. He had a commercial pilot's license, but not for a 737. He wasn't qualified. The cockpit voice recorder revealed that a program caused the engines to fail. I tried to make a call, but he accidentally pressed the transmit button and forgot to press it again. The investigation board found he lacked the expertise to control a Boeing 737, especially with fuel running out. Even if he could land the plane, survival for passengers and crew was impossible due to prolonged hypoxia. During the wreck investigation, 3 out of 4 portable oxygen cylinders were found used. This proved that the cabin crew had used them, leaving passengers and pilots in a competition for consciousness. After implementing these SOPs, accidents like Helios Flight 52 have not happened again. It's a relief to see progress, and I hope Storyscope will continue to share this message. Please like and share this video to spread awareness. I truly appreciate your loving comments and support. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next wonderful video.